Hello fellow leggers, you are joining us once again in Stratford upon Avon, where we are visiting the Royal Shakespeare Company.
Yes, we're in the Swan Theatre space this evening for the new play Kunene and the King.
So stick around to hear our thoughts,
Find out how many stars
whether it's break a leg
or leg it.
Yes, we're back again. I think come the end of this summer, we would have seen pretty much everything that is on this season at the RSC.
And I mean, how lucky are we? We don't live too far here to have such a wonderful theatre on our doorstep that has such a range of plays.
It's such a range in repertoire as
Yeah.
well, all being broadcast pretty much.
Yeah, there's always
So-
something to see here. But tonight it's Kunene and the King, which is a two-hander. I've got to say a big thank you to Salva is Cool for the recommendation of this on one of our other RSC videos, so thank you for that. Now, it's written by and starring actor, activist and playwright John Kani, playing Luga Kunene. Now, he is probably best known from the Marvel universe. He's in Black Panther recently, so if you're up on that, he's in those films. But he's also about to be...
This is big leg of fact, really.
in the new Lion King remake as Rafiki. I mean,
What?
wow.
That's a role you want.
It is a role you want. What a part. So really looking forward to seeing him tonight. Also in the cast is Sir Antony Sher in the role of Jack Morris. He's a two-time Olivier Award winner. He's been in the business forever. What he hasn't done is not worth knowing.
I've got a little story about him.
Oh.
I've never seen him perform.
Okay.
But like when I was like 14, 15, 16 and I was kind of big into theatre, I remember going into London, I'd go into the West End and I'd pick up flyers and leaflets of all the big shows. And one of them was him starring in, I think it was Cyrano de Bergerac or something. And it said like, had quotes from newspapers saying he's amazing, this performance. And then I thought, you know what, I'd love to see him in something because he's on in the West End, so he must be good.
Oh, there
yes,
you go.
He must be good. But I've never seen him
Wow,
ever.
and now is
Until now.
I mean, and that was only a few years ago. You haven't had to wait that long, have you?
So like,
So now you finally get your chance.
so I'm quite excited
Oh,
to be
that's
seeing that
fun.
legend.
Yeah, well, this is directed by Janice Honeyman
Legend.
here.
He's a legend. Legend. Lega.
Are we going to
Lega-end.
hashtag
A lega-end.
legend?
A legend.
Is that what we're going to go? So with a break
He's
of
a
leggers.
legend.
Janice Honeyman's director. Now, the show is set now in 2019, 25 years since the first post-apartheid South African democratic elections, as two men from contrasting walks of life are thrust together to reflect upon a quarter century of change.
Sounds interesting.
It's a co-production between the RSC and the Fugard Theatre in Cape Town, South Africa.
Okay.
And it's only running at just over 90 minutes with no interval, straight through. So there'll be no 30-second interval breakdown.
But stick around to the end to hear our thoughts and find out how many stars.
Well, we've come to the end of Kunene and the King. And I've got to say, it's a powerful bit of theatre that does those magical moments that only theatre can do, which is entertain and educate simultaneously whilst providing a masterclass in acting technique.
What more could you want?
What more
It's
could
one
you
of those
want?
pieces of theatre that is really educational. It's a piece of history.
Yeah.
We're talking about South Africa,
Yeah.
the whole history that they've gone through in terms of the apartheid.
Yeah.
And even though the laws have changed, there's still the
There's inequality
reminiscences.
and it's...
Yeah, there's still the racism is still there, but
Yeah.
in unspoken racism in a way. And that's what this touches on, these two different cultures between black and white, and how coming together they have so much in common and so much anger and unhappiness.
Yeah.
It's a period of history, again, that I want to go back and research.
Absolutely.
That you
and
think
that's-
you know, but you know nothing at all.
And that's what we mean by inspirational theatre. It's inspired us to look deeper, to look at ourselves and to look at the wider subject. It has a huge amount to say about sort of, I want to say it's like original sin. You know, like the legacy that that's been left behind by the actions of somebody else that are still apparent today. And
Yes.
that's what I kept thinking
I
when
see what you
I
mean.
kept thinking that while I was watching it. I was like, we are still bound by the actions of our ancestors. Like, we are still tarnished by that, marred by it. And it's a really unfortunate burden to carry around. And the way that this explored those themes between two elderly gentlemen that had both lived through a certain time period, I just thought it was incredibly clever, well-researched writing.
And at the same time, dealing with a number of issues outside of that, because one of the main characters, one of the main characters,
Well,
there's only two of them in it. One of them has cancer, is dying from cancer. So you're also dealing with the big C and the issues of coping with that between the carer, the sister, even though it's male, and the patient. And just really beautiful commentary on that.
It reminded me a little bit of The Whip Hand. Do you remember when we saw that at the Birmingham Rep? We've got a review of that up here that dealt with that legacy racism that's sort of inherent and still it's still woven into our society. I just thought it was fascinating, absolutely fascinating.
And the writing is brilliant.
Yeah, I mean,
and the writer, his name?
Was the John Kani?
John Kani, thank you. So to be an actor is like a feat. To be a bloody good actor is a feat. To be a bloody good writer as well.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Makes you sick.
And just to write a two-hander is no easy feat.
To keep an audience enthralled for a half an hour when you've got nothing to hide behind.
No.
Sorry, an hour and a half.
Yeah.
For half an hour would be challenging enough, never mind an hour and a half. But he does it with such ease. He's got this beautiful poetic use of language. The way that he writes is completely, even though it's about a subject I know nothing about, it's accessible, and I felt enlightened by it all.
And I didn't feel as if I was being preached to
No, didn't feel
either. I feel as if I was
patronising.
being enlightened to a really key, important piece of history.
I mean, then let's move on to his performance. John Kani in the role of Kunene himself. He's, like I said earlier, it makes you sick. The guy is so extremely talented. The words, I mean, they're his own words, but they roll off his tongue with such an ease and such a beautiful brilliance of understanding and recognition and how to convey an emotion and to go through extremes of emotion. It's all in here, guys. It's hilarious one moment, and you have these little sort of cultural references that are really funny to one of them but not the other, and then there's misunderstanding, which is really fun, and then there's this gut-wrenching, heart-tearing out, just devastatingly I just felt so affectionate towards him. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, do you know, it's really difficult to separate out the actor from the writer. I mean, because the acting is great, but I don't feel as if I'm ready to talk about it yet. Because,
well, you've got no choice. This is what we do. No one warned you.
No, I want to go on because it's really clever. Because Antony Sher's character is an actor who believes although he's suffering from the big C, he wants to perform the role of King Lear. He's just been offered King Lear as an actor, which is really clever because here at the RSC, he's the only actor in the theatre's history to play King Lear and the Fall, and this play comments on both of them.
Yes.
And he's reciting. It's as if they're
it's almost
learning.
It's written for him.
They're talking through the character King Lear, almost pulling it apart, and he's trying to explain it to the carer, and they're saying passages of Lear and saying passages of Julius Caesar as well, but in both tongues, in English and in Afrikaans. Is it that the language?
No, there's a specific language that
What
they
are the
speak.
languages?
Yeah,
Do you know
please
what it
let
is?
us know below. No, haven't
No
got a
idea.
clue.
And it's just magical text. Even though we don't know what is being said, we don't know the language, the way that he is saying it, you're just hooked on every expression and every intonation. Like, it's clever writing.
Yes.
Onto the
But
backdrop of
amazingly
Shakespeare
delivered.
text, and brilliantly delivered.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, let's touch on elements of production at the moment. I think we could wax lyrical all night about the performances here because they are two of the strongest I have ever seen, especially in a two-hander. So let's move on to...
I guess we've talked about the writer and we've talked about as an actor as well. So should we move on to Antony Sher?
Let's talk about Antony Sher.
Sher.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
So
Sher or
when you
Sher?
are not feeling sunny, we share.
Okay.
Antony Sher.
What did you think of him?
I mean, he's a stalwart of the stage. He's a two-time Laurence Olivier Award winner, and it's absolutely to be believed because he does that not acting. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just the most natural thing in the world.
I don't know.
Like, I just think, like, it's almost to the point where you feel like he's phoning it in, but that's the actual, because it just feels so natural, like he's not trying. Do you know what I mean?
But there's so much
going
there.
on. But it feels like there's nothing. It's
subtle accent, but I believed he was South African. There's this underlying illness, but not played too much, but constantly there and constantly affected. And this kind of racism and this darling, and he was just so good. This first time I've seen him, and he was great.
Do you know what I loved about it? I loved those moments in it where he was recounting, the character is recounting stories of his acting days and things that would go wrong, and it was like an audience with Antony Sher at times. Do you know what I mean? And I loved that about it, because I want to hear all these backstage theatrical stories of, oh darling, this one time when I was in, I was in the Tempest with. So I just want to hear that, and I just loved those moments in the writing where he got to be that. And now I just want to sit and have a drink with him.
And those kind of monologue when where he's reminiscing, it's just so natural, and the way he delivers them, he knows the climax. As an actor, so intelligent, and his use of language and storytelling, and his voice just carried around the Swan Theatre. It was beautiful.
Absolutely beautiful.
So we like everything
the
so
performances.
far.
There was one other stage presence by way of Lungisawa Platjes. I really hope I've got that right. I bet I haven't. But she provided musical interludes at scene changes at the beginning of the show, in the middle, and towards the end as well. Beautiful native language South African music, and it was just really great moments, because what do you say? If you're going to do a scene change, make something of it.
Absolutely.
And she absolutely did. She helped that along no end.
Really nice, lovely music.
Yep. Can we also mention lighting? Just subtle, but beautiful at the same time. I felt myself, the emotions of the piece being heightened by the lighting, especially come the end, and I felt quite choked up. There's no surprise here, you sort of know what's coming, but that's not to say that when it does come, it isn't a surprise. And I suppose that is reminiscent of anyone that's suffering a terminal illness. Even though you can prepare for those moments, they still feel a shock when they happen. And I felt that as an audience member, even though these guys were just acting those parts. So lighting by Mani Manim, thought that was great, added a lot to it. And let's just quick shout out to the director for bringing it all together, Janice Honeyman.
Yes, we always forget the director.
Yeah, let's not do that now, but well done for having the guts, the balls to put this on in the first place, and having it speak so many languages. I mean, she's a South African native as well, so hopefully she related.
And the thing is, we say that you've got a great piece, you've got great actors, but it can still fall apart if it isn't led well, and it's obviously led very well for all of these elements to come together.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to give a couple of award nominations.
What?
I think I am.
Nominations? Lega, not 2019. Break Lega nominations.
2019 award nominations for Best Actor. I want to give one to each of them.
No way. That means you're giving one to Antony Sher, Best Actor, and you're giving the second one to
John Kani. I just can't help myself. They were such wonderful performances, and I'm going to be really sad that this is coming to an end soon at the RSC, and more people are going to see it.
Well, you're probably wondering how many stars we are going to give Kunene and the King, which is currently playing here at the RSC.
We are going to give five stars.
An
full
absolute full house.
Guys, even passers-by are agreeing with us. I just cannot express how much I think this is a vital bit of theatre. Once again, it's theatre that can make a difference. It's theatre that is inspiring.
Enlightening, educational, real, realistic.
And it's just heartbreaking that this isn't going to get a further life as far as we know. You've only got about a week left to see it, guys, here at the RSC Swan Theatre. So if you get the chance to make it, just, you know what, cut some time out of your day, your schedule, pop onto the website, book a ticket and come
to Stratford upon Avon.
It's
a fantastic location. Make a weekend of it. Just do something.
Absolutely.
To get here. These are fantastic actors.
Yeah. You're not going to get this chance to see these guys again like this.
No.
It's crazy.
And the Swan Theatre, the way it's done, it's in their thrust.
Intimate.
So, like, no matter where you are, you're right on top of the action. You are with it. It's not like a big main house where you're miles away, even if you're at the back.
You are so caught
There's £5 standing seats as well. Well,
standing seats.
Standing seats.
That's a blooming, eh? That's
There's £5 standing. What do you call them? Just
spaces.
Spaces.
Standing
£5 standing
yeah,
spaces.
so you can see this. I mean, what else can you do for a fiver? I mean, for God's sake, it can't even, that doesn't get you a decent coffee nowadays, does it? But yeah, anyway, please come and see it. We're the Breaker Leggers.
And we'll catch you again soon.
Bye.